Hi there, happy hump day and welcome to Wednesday. Luck. Do you think you're lucky? Do you see your life as something that you've got some modicum of control over? Or is it just down to fate and destiny as to where you land up? Which camp you're in depends on your mental paradigms. That's, how you see the world and how you see your place in the world. Of course, what one person sees as luck, another person might see as entitlement. But research suggests that much of what happens in our life is down to luck. And of course, the biggest lottery card in life is the country and family in which you're born into. Scott Barry Kaufman, who's a writer and a psychologist, has this brilliant article in Scientific American where he lists a whole series of kind of fairly random facts that determine whether a person is going to end up in a particular role or a particular position. For example, your chance of being a CEO is actually influenced by your name and the month in which you're born. Displaying your middle initial apparently increases people's positive perceptions of you and your intellectual capacity and your achievements. People with easy to pronounce surnames are judged more positively than those with harder to pronounce surnames. And if you're a female working in the legal profession, if you've got a more masculine sounding name, you're more likely to be more successful. All of them totally random. Facts that shouldn't necessarily influence whether someone is successful or not successful. Daniel Markovits, in his brilliant book, The Meritocracy Trap, and Barry Schwartz also has a TED Talk on a similar vein. Both talk about the role that luck plays in our lives. So interesting perspectives to kind of dig into and understand, because luck does play a part. Now, that's not to discount the important work and role that effort plays. Just, getting in, digging in, being productive, doing the work, having the discipline to see things through. All of that matters. But there's no doubt, we're not all starting for the same starting blocks. There are some people who have factors loaded against them. But what's interesting as well is how we see ourselves. Because if we see ourselves as lucky or unlucky, that also impacts how we process information and make decisions. So Maria Konnikova, in her most recent book, The Biggest Bluff, she recounts in that book a piece of research that was done by another psychologist, Richard Wiseman. And in this experiment, what Wiseman is doing is he's getting people to self-assess, so they self-rate themselves as either lucky or unlucky. And then he gives them a task, and they're given the same task. They're given a newspaper, and they're told to count the number of photographs in the newspaper. Whether you self-rated yourself as lucky or unlucky impacted how long that task took. For the people who saw themselves as lucky, the task took a couple of seconds. For the people who saw themselves as unlucky, the task took several minutes. Why the difference? The conclusion came down that the difference was driven by the fact that the people who saw themselves as unlucky were so focused on getting it right, so focused on the task, that they missed everything else that was around. They missed what else was going on, because all they were doing was focusing on counting the photographs. They missed, therefore, that on page 2, there was a message that said, you can stop counting now because there are 43 photographs in this paper. They also missed the subsequent message that was further into the paper to say, once again, you can stop counting. Tell the experimenter it's 43, and you can also win some extra money. What Konnikova claims is that a person who is lucky, it's not so much that more good things happen to them, but they're more alert to the opportunities. They notice the details. They can see where they should be focusing their attention, where they should be focusing their energy. They're focusing on the things that matter, but they're not blindsiding themselves. They're not being tunnel visioned. Part of this also reminds me of research that was done many years ago by Robert Emmons and Michael McCulloch. And in it, they were looking at the effects of gratitude on well-being. And they took college students and they broke them into 3 different groups. One group looked and, reflected on things that they were grateful for. The other group wrote about the things that kind of frustrated them, the hassles that they were having during the day. And then the final group was a control group. What they found over the 10 weeks is that the people who were focusing on the things that they were grateful for had better life satisfaction. They felt better about themselves. They had more optimism and they had fewer physical symptoms, aches and pains, and they exercised more. By being grateful, they were able to amplify what they felt and the happiness they were experiencing. It was able to shift their mindset. So when you piece all this together, absolutely, luck plays a part in how life pans out. But that's not it. That's not the end of the story. Whether we see ourselves as lucky or unlucky, that impacts the decisions, the opportunities that we progress. And when we're grateful, we're able to amplify what it is that we have and that felt experience. There's a lot in this. So, lots to think about. I hope you have a lucky day and that you have a great week. I'll see you next week.